Back at you again with another one. So before we get into the match preview, I would just like to sort of apologize for my behalf on the podcast. There was some sound qualities. It's my first, so hopefully going forward, I can learn from my mistakes and we can hopefully bring on more fans out there and more supporters who can come onto the show and just have sort of healthy debates as I had with sort of Caleb. And also thank you to Caleb as well for joining me on that podcast. And as I said, if you want to join me in future for a podcast, any topics discussion, please either message me on the comment section or tweet me on last word Gooner. But going on to today's game, Arsenal 3, Molde 0. We're now qualified and that's knockout stages. So let's just get into some of the match stats, as you can see from on screen here. Yeah. So goal scorers, Nicolas Pepe, Reece Nelson, and Florian Balogun. So we had 19 shots to their 11. We had 8 on target to their 1. Possession-wise, I thought we had a lot more than 49%. I personally thought we dominate the game more, whether it be in terms of the attack or even in terms of possession itself. I thought it was quite a good, convincing performance. We seemed to let loose of the handbrake, and ironically, I did say beforehand I thought we were going to win 3-0, and I also did say that Nicolas Pepe was going to have a stand-up performance, and I thought he had to prove it to the world. He knew he made a costly mistake. He knew it was stupid. And I'm glad he came out onto the pitch and performed well. And that was the best the best performance I've seen from Nico so far this season. Also, I was very glad that Florian Balogun came on and he took his brace really well. And he got assist from Emil Smith-Rowe. 2 young players I've been banging on Arteta should start playing. You see what I mean, Arteta? You play the youth and you shall get rewarded. It's not that difficult, is it? You play the youth, for whatever reason, we look so much better. We look a lot more expressive, and they have no fear. You see, now for me, going forward, I hope he doesn't go back and continues playing Eddie Nketiah in our next game with Dundalk and Rapid Vienna in our upcoming Europa League games. Surely by now, with the poor performance Eddie had tonight and with Florian Balogun getting his debut goal for the first team, surely it's his time. There's background discussions about extending his contract. Now that he's got his goal, you just got to start feeding him, and hopefully we can see the finished article soon enough, because I've said it plenty of times. The likes of Willock, Nketiah, yeah, they're not for me. I just can't see them having a career here at Arsenal. But let's get into the player ratings for today's game. So it was quite an interesting formation Mikel went with. He went with a 4-4-2. And in terms of my player ratings, Alex Runnison, he didn't have too much to do, I'd say. There was the one opportunity where Mulder had that sitter where unfortunately the guy, he had his legs between the post, and it was a decent save by Runnison. He sort of took the ball off the line. Other than that, he didn't have much to do. But one thing I did notice, which I liked, is when sort of playing out from the back, is his positioning. He sort of gives room for the centre backs to have the angle to pass back to him. And I think that's quite intelligent, and that's something Lennon needs to learn, how to position yourself so that the centre-backs, when they are under pressure, they have the angle to pass it back without any pressure or making any mistakes from it. And I thought that side of his game, the distribution, worked really well, but he didn't have much to do. So based on that, I'll give him a standard 6. Moving on to Cedric, I thought it was one of his better games. I thought Cedric looked quite lively today. He was helping out in the attacks. There might be a reason why Pepe played actually decent today, because for once he had a right back that actually helped him out and played him. Let me just give you a little fact. During a game against Leeds United, Hector Bellerin made 0 passes to Nicolas Pepe. That's correct. You heard that right. Hector Bellerin, yep, on the right back side, made 0 passes to Nicolas Pepe on his side. Is it a coincidence why Pepe never really performs when he's been playing around with Bellerin? Maybe so. Maybe this might be a decent partnership going forward. I still don't think Cedric's the answer, but based on today's performance, I thought he's done well. So Cedric, for me, he gets a 6. David Luiz, yeah, it's difficult to judge the centre backs, not because they were poor, just because Molde were they didn't really attack with any much intent. There was a few chances where they forgot the young gentleman from their team, where he had that shot which fizzed off our left post. And other than that, where they, as I mentioned that earlier on in the first half attack, where they missed a sitter. Other than that, I can't really recall many opportunities. So I'm just going to have to give David Luiz and Mustafi a standard 6, just because I don't think they had much tonight. So looking at the left-hand side, Ainsley, yeah, he had a very poor game. He was poor when he was at left back, and later on in the game when he went more infield, when Kieran Tierney came on, he still looked poor. This is, for me, what really frustrates me about Ainsley. I've been banging on about him needing to play and him being the successor of Hector Bellerin on that right back spot. But if he can't really perform here, or he hasn't been performing any time he's been given that opportunity, I'm running out of patience to consistently be backing him. So Ainsley, yeah, he was probably the worst performer in our team on the night. So he gets I was gonna say 5, but let's be honest, it's Molde. So by those standards, he gets a 4. Interestingly, we move on to our midfield. We played with sort of a 4 there with the likes of Nelson and Pepe pushed further up. I thought, actually, let's start with Nelson. We'll save Pepe for last. Nelson looked very, very lively, kept running at players. He took his goal well, albeit it wasn't the most difficult to take. But nevertheless, he took his opportunities, and without doing too much, he did enough. So for me, he hasn't done enough to, be knocking on a door to play in the league games. But in terms of continuing starting for the league games, I would definitely continue on playing Reece Nelson. So based on his performance today, and considering he's got a goal and his very good first half performance, I'd give him a 7. Moving on to Xhaka, Willock. I think both players just didn't really stand out for me. In particular, Willock it's just his final ball, but yes, he did sort of create the assist. Whereas for me, Xhaka was more like a passenger. I can't really recall much what he did during the game. He was just a bystander whilst the game went past him. So based on their performances, Willock on the assist, I give him a 6. Xhaka gets a 5. Didn't do much. Now we're moving on to Nicolas Pepe, and I did sort of predict that this game's going to go either 2 ways for him. He's either going to turn up and then continue on with that foul body language, not bothered, or he's going to be a new possessed man, and I'm glad it was the latter. So I thought he was brilliant. There's not many things during today's game he done wrong, but there was one thing I can highlight to you why he looked so good today as well, other than the fact that Bellerin wasn't behind him. He had many people sort of playing the balls ahead of him. Now, if you watch Nicolas Pepe from his time at Lille, the way they operate is usually on a counter attack, and the ball's usually ahead of him. Whereas too many times at Arsenal, you have, especially in the league, a lot of defenders know about Nicolas Pepe, his trickery. So what they do is anytime he gets the ball, they double up on him. And we usually play the ball to his feet or behind him. Therefore, he has to take an extra touch. By that time, you've got 2 guys already on you. So when we play the ball ahead of him, you can see what he can do. He's very dangerous. And I felt as if he could do a lot more. And for me, that's not even his potential. I can see, honestly, Nicolas Pepe being one of, and I've always said it, he's probably the best. If we're talking about just pure footballer, Nicolas Pepe is the best footballer, as in technically he's better than anyone else, like free kicks, skills, dribbling. He's the ultimate footballer we have. And I just feel as if sometimes it's himself, his body language, and maybe we don't have that setup to play into his best ability. But if we can perhaps unlock that Nicolas Pepe that we saw at Lille, then we've got a big player on our hands. So for me, I'm hoping the whole incident over Leeds with Alioski is left behind him, and now this is a new chapter, Nicolas Pepe's career here at Arsenal. So it's up to him to prove me wrong and everyone else out there wrong, that he is worth the £72 million paid for him. But remember, it wasn't him who requested that fee. But he's my man of the match, and he gets an 8 for me. Moving up top, we've got Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah. Let's look at Lacazette. I thought, other than scoring, he worked really hard for the team. His passes, his link-up play looked a lot better, and he just had more desire than usual from what I've seen. Yes, he started off the season brilliantly, scoring 3 and 3, but then after, when he was dropped against the game at Man City, his body language changed. Just everything about Lacazette was just not bothered. But today, it seemed like that fire in his belly was instilled again, and hopefully he can prove many of the critics, including myself, wrong out there. And another thing, I'm so sorry, I forgot to include Lacazette in my predicted lineup. I don't know why, but I just couldn't think of him at the time. But it's not to say he's a bad player. I think that just sums up his season so far. You don't really notice him in games many times, but I thought today he provided a decent account of himself. His striking partner, Eddie Nketiah, sorry, I didn't rate Lacazette. He gets a 6 for me. Eddie Nketiah, his partner, I thought he was poor. I've always said it. Can we stop trying this Eddie Nketiah experiment? It's not working. It's not worked for me. I'm not that impressed. I've always said it. He's gonna be a sort of relegation battling team. I can see Eddie being decent in teams going forward in his career, like a Norwich, like a West Brom, these sort of teams. I might be wrong, I'm not always right, but from what I've seen so far, I just don't see him being successful here at Arsenal. I look at the likes of sort of Saka, I look at Martinelli, and I've even done that video where I've showed you 10 strikers who are better and younger than Eddie. So for me, he gets I was going to say he gets a 4. No, he gets a 5 because he was better than Ainsley at least. He gets a 5 for me, and it'll be interesting, as I said, to see if Mikel will play him in our next game. Because the next guy I'm going to get on to, now moving on to the subs, the next guy, let's just start it off with Florian Balogun. Didn't have much time. I think he had less than 10 minutes. And either his first touch took the ball away from the defender, spun around him, second touch, put it in the back of the net. And I have been saying, from what I've seen, movements from the under 23s, yes, Eddie's got a better goal scoring ratio than Balogun in under 23s. But from the eye test, in terms of just seeing him move around, the running, the passing, there's a reason why you could see when he scored, the whole buzz, everyone just sort of celebrate with him. And you could see, in particular, Nicolas Pepe running over, because I've heard Balogun's got a good relationship with a lot of the senior players, in particular like the likes of Lacazette, Pepe and Oba. So maybe you're going to be a bit biased here, but it's his debut goal in his first team senior football. So Balogun, for me, he gets an 8. Moving on to the other subs, Holden didn't have much to do. Like the other centre-backs, he gets a standard 5. Danny Ceballos didn't have much to do. He had a bit longer, but he gets a 5 as well. Kieran Tierney, interesting. When I saw Kieran Tierney come on for Lacazette, came off and Tierney came on. Lacazette gave the armband to Tierney, and I thought, wow, Tierney's finally captain. Only to see Tierney run onto the pitch, run over to Mustafi and hand it over to him. And I thought, isn't Mustafi leaving in June? So why are we making him captain? when the perfect captain for the club is there in Kieran Tierney. That doesn't make any sense to me, but that's not my decision, and I don't get paid £6 million a year to select the captain of the team. But for me, Tierney, he didn't have much to do when he came on, so he gets a 5. I think I've mentioned all the subs, so that was Balogun. Oh, sorry, Smith Rowe. Yes, finally got to see Smith Rowe finally play, and he got the assist. And just because, same reason as Balogun, he gets a 7, and that's just me being biased. So that's my match preview, and that's my player rating. If you could please let me know if you agree with some of my player ratings, and or maybe I've just been completely biased to my few favorites and just overlooked some of the other guys. Well, thank you for joining me. Take care. All the best.